Fans shocked. Xu Kai caught sleeping outside hospital door for 5 straight nights. I'm not leaving her. It was 2:37 a.m. when the first blurry photo emerged online. Xu Kai, face hidden beneath a baseball cap, curled against the cold tiled floor outside room 408 of Jingmai General Hospital. At first, fans thought it was fake. But by sunrise, 5 more images surfaced, showing different angles, different days, each one confirming a heartbreaking truth. Xu Kai had spent 5 consecutive nights sleeping on the hospital floor, refusing to leave Tan Songyun's side. And the reason? The woman lying unconscious behind that door, Tan Songyun, was once again fighting for her life. The relapse that shook everyone. It started with a quiet code blue alert on Wednesday night. Tan Songyun had suffered another panic-induced respiratory attack, her heart rate spiking into dangerous territory after what insiders say was a traumatic memory flashback. Medical staff rushed her into emergency care while Xu Kai, who had only just returned from a film shoot, arrived in a panic, reportedly still wearing his costume. "I've never seen him like that," said one nurse, voice trembling. "He was yelling at doctors. Crying. Begging. He kept repeating, 'Please don't let her slip away again. Please, I just got her back.'" Despite efforts to stabilize her, Tan's vitals continued to fluctuate. For the second time in a month, she was moved to the ICU, hooked to machines that beeped louder than the silence Xu Kai found himself drowning in. And he refused to leave. Sleeping on the floor, refusing a room. According to hospital staff, a private suite was immediately offered to Xu Kai by his management team and the hospital board. But he declined repeatedly. Instead, he took a folded blanket and stationed himself just outside her door. "He didn't want to be too far," said a janitor. He said if anything happened, even a whisper, he wanted to be the first to know. One nurse caught him scribbling something in a notebook while slumped against the wall. She glanced at the page. It read, "If she wakes up, I want her to see I never left." By the 5th night, Xu Kai's complexion had paled. His eyes were bloodshot. One fan claimed he hadn't eaten a full meal in 3 days. But when the hospital director offered to escort him out for rest, he responded only with, "She's the one fighting to survive. I can at least stay awake." Backlash turns to tears. Just days earlier, Xu Kai had faced brutal backlash online for attending an industry party, one that many believed he shouldn't have attended while Songyun was recovering from her last ICU episode. The photos had gone viral, Xu Kai posing for cameras, drink in hand, laughter caught mid-frame. But what the public didn't see was the truth. The party had been an obligatory sponsor event, and Xu Kai had left after just 11 minutes. According to an insider, he wasn't there to celebrate. He was looking for someone who had information on her old therapist. He's been trying to reconstruct her psychological file to help doctors understand the trigger behind her recent collapse. Now, those same fans who criticized him are the ones rallying behind him. One comment summed it up: "We thought he abandoned her. But the truth is, he's the only one who's never left." The heartbreaking video. On night 4, security footage leaked online showing Xu Kai reaching for the doorknob of ICU room 408, his hand trembling, his forehead pressed to the door. "I'm right here, Songyun," he whispered. "I know you don't remember everything, but I remember enough for both of us. Please, please, come back." The video has since garnered over 50 million views, with fans and celebrities alike flooding comment sections with prayers and heartbreak emojis. Li Qin posted, "Real love doesn't perform for the camera. It waits outside your hospital room 5 nights in a row." Flashbacks that nearly killed her. Doctors revealed that Tan Songyun's condition was triggered by an emotional regression. During a quiet moment alone in her hospital room, she reportedly relived the car accident that killed her older brother years ago, a memory she had suppressed for over a decade. Sources say the trigger may have come from a song Xu Kai unknowingly played from his phone while sitting beside her days earlier. It was the same lullaby her brother used to hum to her on rainy nights. When she screamed, Xu Kai thought it was a nightmare. But by the time he called for help, her breathing had stopped. "I wasn't ready to die," she whispered to a nurse just hours before slipping into unconsciousness. "But it feels like part of me already has. Will she wake up?" Doctors remain cautiously optimistic. On the morning of the 6th day, Tan Songyun briefly opened her eyes, just long enough to whisper a name. Xu. That was all. Xu Kai reportedly broke down in sobs so violent that security was called. But he composed himself moments later and returned to his place beside the door. If she remembers me, he told one nurse, I'll wait a lifetime. Fans light up the hospital. Outside Jingmai General, fans gathered with candles, prayer notes, and handwritten letters. Some played Tan Songyun's favorite childhood songs. Others stood in silence, their phones lighting the darkness like fireflies in morning. A banner now stretches across the hospital fence. Come back, Songyun. He never left. And underneath it, taped in shaky handwriting, are Xu Kai's words from his notebook. I don't need the world to forgive me. I just need her to open her eyes. I heard him crying. Tan Songyun's first words shake the room as she slowly wakes up. It was the 6th night. The hallway outside ICU room 408 was as quiet as a grave, except for the occasional murmur of machines and soft footsteps of passing nurses. Xu Kai hadn't moved. His back was against the wall, knees bent, hoodie pulled low over his eyes, not asleep, not awake, just existing. But inside that sterile room, beneath tubes and monitors, something stirred. A slight twitch of fingers. A flicker beneath closed eyelids. And then, a whisper, dry, broken, barely audible. I heard him crying. Nurse Lee froze. She turned toward the bed, uncertain. Then it came again. He never left, did he? Tan Songyun's eyes were still closed, but tears had begun to slip from their corners. Her chest moved more deliberately now. Her voice was a rasp, but it held weight, a memory. The nurse rushed to press the emergency call button, but not before she leaned down and asked gently, Who, sweetheart? And Tan whispered, Xu Kai, he was outside. A door opens. And so does a heart. They didn't tell him right away. Doctors needed to be sure. But when Tan's vitals stabilized and her consciousness returned for more than a few minutes, the decision was made. At 4:11 a.m., a nurse cracked the door. Xu Kai, stiff from days of sleeping upright, blinked. Xu Kai, she said softly, her voice trembling. She's awake. And she asked for you. He didn't rush. He stood slowly, every movement filled with disbelief. When he stepped into the room, his eyes landed on her, frail, pale, wires wrapped around her like vines clinging to a flower. But her lips curved weakly when she saw him. You look awful, she managed to whisper, her voice hoarse. He laughed, a broken, watery sound, and dropped to his knees beside her bed, clutching her hand as though it anchored him to reality. You scared me, he choked. I thought I lost you again. She interrupted with something so simple, yet so shattering. I remembered your voice first. Then the night I told you not to leave. And then, I remembered the warmth behind the door. Pieces of memory return. 4 hours, Xu Kai stayed by her side. And as her strength returned, so did fragments of her memory. The accident. The ICU. Her whispered prayers. The party photo she'd seen before collapsing, the one where she thought he'd moved on. You were smiling, she said quietly, voice tinged with hurt. I thought I didn't matter anymore. Xu Kai shook his head, his grip tightening on her hand. That party. I was looking for someone. Your therapist's old assistant. I was trying to find answers. I didn't care about the cameras. I cared about you. Her lips trembled. Why didn't you tell me? I was scared, he admitted. Scared I was already too late. And then, with tears streaking both their faces, she whispered, I remember now. I begged you not to leave. And you didn't. He didn't answer, he just kissed her hand, over and over, like a man afraid she might vanish again. What the cameras didn't show. As the sun rose, photos began leaking from inside the hospital. A staff member had captured Xu Kai with his head bowed beside her bed, her fingers resting lightly in his hair. Social media exploded. He was never performing for the cameras. This is the real Xu Kai. Forget the industry party, this is his true character. One video caught fans' attention the most. It showed a nurse pulling a folded blanket from the hallway floor. She turned to another staff and asked, Should I wash this? The other responded, No. Keep it. He called it his lucky blanket. Said he wouldn't go home until she opened her eyes. Tan Songyun's fans, once divided, united overnight. Outside the hospital, posters changed from Wake Up, Songyun to Her.Xu, Xu Kai. Flashbacks and forgiveness. But not all wounds were physical. As Tan recovered, the trauma of her past memories began surfacing in small bursts. Her brother's death. The years of internalized guilt. The accident that brought her to Xu Kai in the first place. During one of their late-night conversations, she asked him, "Do you ever wish we met another way? Not through pain. Not through tragedy." He looked at her, eyes filled with quiet intensity. "If pain is the road that brought me to you, then I'd walk it 1,000 times." There was silence. Then she said the words he never expected to hear again. "I'm still in love with you." And just like that, 5 nights of suffering melted into something else, something sacred. The moment that broke everyone. On the 7th night, Tan asked to sit up for the first time. With Xu Kai's help, she reached for a mirror. Her reflection startled her. The paleness, the tubes, the haunted eyes. But when she turned her head and saw him, smiling softly, eyes bloodshot but alive, she whispered, "Even now, you're still the most beautiful thing I see." Xu Kai broke down. He buried his face in her lap, shoulders shaking, whispering over and over, "Thank you for coming back." Outside, fans who had camped for a week watched as the lights in room 408 dimmed. A nurse came out and said, "She asked everyone to go home. She wants you all to rest now, just like Xu Kai finally will." That night, for the first time in 6 days, Xu Kai didn't sleep on the floor. He curled up beside her in a hospital chair, hand in hers, heartbeat matching hers. And finally, both of them slept together.